everyone, and welcome to another Disclosure in the Media. Here with Ryan Pullenkarts again, and we are talking about Fallout New Vegas this time. So, Ryan, go right ahead.
Hi, so New Vegas, it's commonly considered the best of the Fallout games, and it is technically the fourth game in the series. Well, fourth main series game in the series, fifth game in the series if you count the one that we're not covering because it's really obscure. Um, and it's made by Bethesda and Obsidian, and Obsidian pretty much did all the work on it. But they were the same group that made Fallout 1 and 2. So even though they lost the rights, they got to make Fallout New Vegas. And I'm just gonna make a little addendum right here. Now they're also owned by Microsoft now, and Microsoft just got Bethesda as well. So Fallout New Vegas 2 may be coming in the near future, which would be awesome because it's still widely considered the best Fallout game. But without further ado, we'll get right into it. So this is the cover art for Fallout New Vegas. It was made in 2010 at the end. It came out in the end of 2010, and it brought Fallout back to the West for the first time since Bethesda took over the series, and the most recent time. And so Fallout New Vegas, this is the map, and it takes place on the Nevada and California border, and is focused around events that have to do with Vegas popping back up as a major settlement, as well as the ongoing conflict between two massive powers. One we've already met in Fallout 2, and one who we're going to meet today. And it's pretty much all centered around, at this point, when the game opens, Hoover Dam. And I'll go into more of that conflict here in a minute. Right now, I'm going to play the intro to the game and explain the setup for the game, because this big fight is actually the second part of the game, and the first part of the game is getting something back that's yours. So without further ado, I'll play the intro, which will explain everything perfectly.
You're crying in the rain, Pally.
Guess who's waking up over here?
Time to cash out.
Will you get it over with?
Maybe cons kill people without looking them in the face. But I ain't a fink. Dig? You've made your last delivery, kid. Sorry you got twisted up in this scene. From where you're kneeling must seem like an 18-carat run of bad luck. Truth is, the game was rigged from the start.
And so that is the entrance to Fallout New Vegas. That is the cutscene that plays before you even wake up for the game's beginning. And the guy who bound up is you. And you are Courier. In fact, the main character's name, referred to, we've had the Chosen One and the Vault Dweller. His character name is the Courier, or Courier 6 if you like that name better, but most people refer to it as the Courier. And right here, this is the robot Victor. Victor digs you up. He's a Securitron, and he's got a cowboy personality matrix. So he acts like a cowboy, and he digs you up in Good Springs. So if we're looking at the map, it's this settlement right here. Sort of middle of the western part of the map. You wake up in the local doctor's house. You make your character, and you're given basically a gun and some belongings that you had, and you're sent back out into the wastes. The belongings that you start with are based on some of your choices, based on what your skills you put into in the beginning of the game are. So if you put in energy weapons, you'll get a laser pistol. If you put into normal guns, you'll get a pistol. If you put into big guns, you'll get, I think, I don't know exactly what you get then because I haven't done a big guns playthrough in a while. If you do like a melee playthrough, I think you get a pocket knife or some kind of like knife or sword, depending on how many points you put into it. But yeah, so the starting scenario is pretty much the same, but just what you start with. And then you ask around town, and you learn that the guy who is in the checkered coat, his name's Benny, has what you were carrying as your delivery, and you're gonna get it back. And so you start tracking him down, and you basically make your way south along the Long 15 or Interstate 15. I believe that's what they call it in the game. And you go down through Prim. You stop off at the Mojave Outpost. Down here, you actually find a town that's in a bad way, and I'll explain that in a bit. Then you come up to Novak, which is the town that we went through when I was showing off the game before with the dinosaur statue. Then you come up here, you stop off in Boulder, where you find those two guys that were with Benny in the cutscene, and they're shocked. Well, the one who's still alive is shocked that you are like alive, and you broker a deal to get them out of a situation that I will go into just right now. Basically, the NCR has been fighting the Great Khans. They're Great Khans, and the NCR has them pinned into some rubble, and you are able, well, either you can go over and like get your information by killing them and reading their terminal, or you can get the information by brokering a deal with the NCR to get them to leave and to save the NCR from losing troops trying to assault this like small place where they're dug in. If you do the second one, you get better reputation with both the Great Khans and the NCR, so it's worth doing. But if you want to play like a bad character, you can just go in and wipe them out. But you'll get the information either way that says that Benny is one of the top people in the New Vegas Strip. He's in charge of one of the casinos, but he's not like the head honcho of the strip. But he's like top 4 people on the strip pretty much. And Benny is back at the strip. So you move through the 188 trade up past the gun runners into Freeside, which is like the outer communities of Vegas that are somewhat civilized, down into Vegas itself, which is like right here. And in Vegas, you find Benny. And so this is all Act 1 of the game. And there's a lot of fighting and like exploring and stuff you do during this portion of the game. But it's all stuff that's not really story significant. And Benny is this, you find Benny in his casino, and there's a couple ways you can deal with it. You can either walk right in with all your weapons and gun down the entire casino. You can convince the Benny's like underling that he's like working against the casino's best interest, because his plan is to overthrow the strip basically and take it over. And this guy thinks it's suicide. So then Benny is kind of cut out by all of his underlings and is kind of and you're able to confront him and get the chip. Or you can take up Benny's offer that you can work with him to take over the strip, and Benny betrays you almost instantly and flees to Caesar's Legion, one of the main antagonist factions, to try to open up a vault that's underground, and he fails. So we'll get into what happens to Benny in a bit. But regardless of any of your choices with Benny, you get a hold of the Platinum Chip again. Now, the Platinum Chip isn't just like a poker chip. It's a computer chip that looks like a poker chip that holds basically all of Mr. House, a tech mogul from before the war. It's like most best protocols, basically. Everything that his best upgrades are all in there for his defense grid, his Securitron army, and for pretty much just like the operation of Vegas. So let me go back here. So you get the chip and you're brought before Mr. House, regardless of how you get it. And if you let Benny run off to the Legion, you meet Mr. House before, but it really doesn't matter. Mr. House is one of the 4 major players in the game. So Benny's dead by this point, or he's strung up, crucified by the Legion, who are one of the major antagonist factions. But Mr. House is like, you can work with me and we can make Vegas the way we want it to be. Well, mostly how Mr. House wants it to be. If you help Mr. House, you're working towards a future where, even though it's controlled by like a dictator who uses you as like their enforcer, he's working to rejuvenate the tech market and begin an Elon Musk-esque colonization of other worlds, because Earth is just like a mess after the Great War. So that's Mr. House. Now, while you are running around, you'll meet the New California Republic. They're one of the other major factions. As we've talked, they're an attempt to rebuild American-style government in the post-apocalyptic world. And the only reason they're called New California is because of the fact that that's just where they started, in California. You'll also run into Caesar's Legion. Now, Caesar's Legion comes about from basically Western states, Arizona, Colorado, Utah, that area. And Caesar's Legion was started by this man right here. His real name is Edward Sallow, but he starts going by Caesar. The true Latin, if you were a Roman way to say Julius Caesar's last name, is Caesar. And so all his followers refer to him as Caesar. And this is his greatest general, Legate Lanius, and he is also his enforcer. In fact, this man, when Caesar, whose big thing is he's conquered like 46 tribes, different tribes of people in his quest to like unify the wasteland. When he came across the Hyde Barks, which were his tribe, he single-handedly held off the Legion's soldiers. And when the rest of the men of his village realized it would like be a problem, the Lanius here basically fought the rest of the men in his village, was almost killed, and Caesar saved him and was like, well, if you become my enforcer, I'll give you whatever you want. Lanius here wanted a suit of armor, a giant sword, and to kill every living male of his tribe. Caesar responded by basically saying, take all the adult males and you have a deal. And so now Lanius is the lieutenant to Caesar and his major enforcer and like best general, except for himself. But this man is now old. He's in his roughly 70s. And he also has cancer, which you find out in the game. So he doesn't have long left. And that's important later on as we get into part 2. So basically the two major these are the two factions that we were talking about have been warring, and I will show you a map of their territories. So all the green is the territory controlled by the NCR, the New California Republic. So from Arroyo down into Baja California. And the part of the Baja that's held by the NCR is called Free Baja. And up through most of the campaign, of the early portions of the campaign of the game, the NCR veteran rangers, these guys in like the riot armor and stuff, are fighting tribes in Wild Baja to try to pacify it. As the war escalates between Caesar's Legion here, that has everything pretty much up until Texas, they get brought into the conflict as like the NCR's elites, and the Legion brings in like Hound Masters and special Centurion units and stuff. Anything in the pink up here in Zion, it's Legion influenced, but it's not Legion held. And same with like the light, really light green up in sort of this area. And then there are groups of Khans up here in the Rockies. And we know that the Brotherhood of Steel has a chapter out this way, and a Colorado detachment of the Brotherhood is holding the Legion kind of past this area. So, the head of this battle, where the Legion and the NCR met for the first time, was at Hoover Dam. And they fought a battle, and the Legion lost. However, neither side was strong enough after the battle to cross the river fully, so a stalemate happened, and they're just sitting on each side of the river. The Legion often raids into California, the NCR territory, but most of the NCR territory around New Vegas especially is like NCR influenced, not NCR actually held. They'll do raids into there, and the Legion uses slaves like heavily. They're a slave basically when they take a tribe, or they enslave the women and children and turn them into a labor force, and the men are instantly retrained as soldiers for the Legion, or killed off, and then the boys are raised into soldiers for the Legion. But they do slave raids into NCR territory, and the NCR tends to send like howitzers into Legion territory, but that's it. They just kind of attack the coast with stationary weapons from their side, and it's a stalemate. So basically, the real way that the first Battle of Hoover Dam went bad for the Legion was they were tricked by Chief Hanlon of the NCR Rangers, who was in charge at the time. Hanlon pulled all his forces off of the dam, feigning retreat. The NCR 1st Recon, which is their sniper detachment, opened fire on Legion forces, and then howitzers just bombarded the Legion forces as they tried to cross the dam. It utterly routed the Legion, and the first lieutenant of Kaiser, a man named Joshua Graham, was lit on fire and then thrown down the Grand Canyon for his failure to take the territory and win the battle. This man did not die, and we will cover him when we do the New Vegas DLC, because this episode will be long. But so yeah, that's a bit of foreshadowing. But the NCR is not strong enough to cross. The Legion's not strong enough to cross, so it's a stalemate. Meanwhile, Lanius is dealing with tribal revolts somewhere down here in Southern Legion territory, as well as the fact that like more than half the Legion is also keeping the rest of the tribes in check and those slaves in check. So most of the Legion's forces can't be deployed for the war, whereas most of the NCR troops can, because the NCR is a better society when it comes to inclusion, like the people working together. Also, a problem with the Legion is it's widely known by at least most of the more intelligent people in the Wasteland that if it isn't for Caesar, the Legion is going to break apart. And only Lanius would be able to truly hold it together, and he would do it through force, and there would be a big civil war after Caesar's death anyway. So it's widely considered that when Edward Salo Kaiser dies, the Legion is probably doomed. That's important because you find out he has cancer and he is already old. And if you want to, you can assassinate him. Depending on which side you're choosing to play with, you can assassinate him before he dies of old age, but he's not long left anyway. But if you assassinate him, it really messes with the morale of the Legion, and it makes it a lot easier to do some of to end the conflict with a bit more peace later on. As for that, that's pretty much one of those are the other two major factions, and then there's one other choice you get to make to be a faction yourself. That happens when you're with Benny, or when you're going through Benny's things. You find Yes Man, which is another Securitron that Benny had reprogrammed to pretty much just say yes to whatever. So it will do anything it's told. And, well, to make Yes Man, to do the independent Vegas, your Vegas path, you have to go to where Mr. House is, keep the platinum chip, and then fight your way through Securitrons of Mr. House's to where he has been keeping himself in stasis. And when you find him, this is what the man from the mogul from 200 years ago looks like now. And there is a picture I have of him from before the war. And actually, the legs of this are Liberty Prime, the big robot the Brother of Steel used on the East Coast. He was chief in building it, but this is him during the current events of the game because he was able to sustain himself using high tech, but he's degenerated, and I will let Chris talk because he knows he's seen things like this before.
Yes, this is actually quite interesting that this has been brought up this way because not only with the other factions that you see fighting each other the way that you do, this is not only something similar to this is going on right now with some of these other not only corporate factions but militaristic factions that have different emblems for their different organizations and different military factions. So that part's global, but there's a lot of activity going on between Arizona and California right now, as far as not only communist China is doing some things in both states, but you have different factions of white hat, black hat that are kind of doing this. Some have the mentality of Caesar, while other ones are more inclusive, like the NCR. It's very similar to that. And I could notice as we were talking that I was starting to get mind wiped a little bit there as you were talking. And there were a lot of noises outside and in the background and everything, so I had to mute it. But so there was already distractions building right there. But with this part though, with Mr. House, this is actually very fascinating as well, because not only is he presenting himself through a computer, like what you were showing, as his looking like his younger self. This scene here, and the other one where he's the old one here. This is exactly how I find some of the Dark Orions that are underground. They're hooked up to computers like this. Also, other beings that have been hooked up to computers like this, as well as children that have been inducted into some of the secret space program dark projects, are hooked up to computers like this and broadcast exactly like this. But it's usually Orion forces that I find this way, that are at the bottom of energy collection units under churches, cathedrals, old ancient historic holy sites. Like there was one in a recent session that I did that was under a site in Israel where this being was getting worshipped, but he still looked like this. And there was another one in Ireland, another session I did in Ireland that had a being that was under a cairn that looked exactly like this, that was holding another being hostage that was being worshipped, but underneath there was a being using another being as a projection, pretty much, that was sitting in a device that was like this. Some are chairs, some look like stasis chambers like this. And this was a Fomorian being from Ireland. That's also, I believe, a mistranslation of from Orion. So that I believe that's a mistranslation of that. Like somebody just said it in their regional dialect. And also under the pyramids, there are devices that look like this that have reptilian and Orion beings in it that are in these type of stasis chambers that look like sarcophaguses. And they're very much like this, but they can project themselves out using a computer or hologram, where they can wear a hologram like this too to actually interact and speak to people. They can make themselves look like how they used to a long time ago, but they are more than likely deteriorated just exactly like this. And there are some that aren't. There's second generation Orions and third generation Orions, I found out, that don't have any deterioration issues, especially third generation. Third generation are more pretty looking. They almost look like they're photoshopped in a way. And some of them are in human form, other ones are in new Nordic type forms. And photoshopped is the best way I can describe it. They look too pretty. And also, you have the angelic forms that look too pretty. They're very feminine, masculine. You don't know which gender they technically are sometimes. And those were genetically created ones that don't need the stasis. But the original first generation is definitely like this. And any human or other species that was ever stuck in one of these devices like this eventually turned out skeletal, looking like this, like a mummy. And you also saw that with ancient Egypt, where they mimicked some healing devices that they saw at the time that were healing sarcophagi. That this is why they did the mummification in Egypt. They were mimicking devices like this as well. So there we go.
And an interesting point Mr. House here makes: when you do this, you can choose not to kill him and just leave him out of his system so he can't control the computer aspect of it. But he makes a point that says being exposed to the outside air will kill him. And I feel that is something to do with how these Orion, if you brought the Orions out into the outside air currently, it would kill them.
Yeah, that's exactly correct. That's why they want things irradiated, because they thrive off the radiation energy. That's why they always would try to start timelines like this to where there was some kind of nuclear conflict. And aside from harvesting people's soul energies, they can use radioactive energy they would be able to rejuvenate and walk around out in the open while we deteriorate from the radiation. So it's something like that. I'm surprised that they didn't go that route completely with the game where he could walk out of there and rejuvenate. That would have been a complete Orion thing right there, but with the radioactivity in the air. But that's very interesting that if an Orion would walk out into our environment or out of one of their bubbles, they would die pretty much instantly.
All right. Well, to get off that horrible picture, we'll continue with here. So either way, whatever faction you choose, the first group they send you to meet is the Boomers. The Boomers came out of one of the vaults, and their vault in particular was overarmed with people that would not get along. Somehow, though, until the all clear signal was put out, they were able to keep from killing each other off because they locked away all the guns pretty much. But once the all clear signal went out, there was a division in the vault, and half the people decided they wanted to leave with a bunch of the weapons, and half the people decided they wanted to not leave the vault. And basically, this group went in, grabbed a ton of weapons, but not all of them, and left the vault with a ton of guns, and they went to the Nellis Air Force Base. Up here. Now, I know in our circles, Nellis is seen as this government facility where alien stuff goes on, and Chris might have some information to bring up after I finish on what the Boomers are here. In fact, it's even hinted to in the game that they're when they were searching out through Nellis, when the Boomers got there, they found some weird ship, but they didn't know what it was, so they took it apart. But they also found flight simulators, and the Boomers' whole philosophy changed then. They already considered everyone else in the Wasteland inferior and tried to blow them up. And with the flight simulators, they learned how to fly bombers. And at the bottom of Lake Mead, in our timeline and in Fallout, there's a World War II era bomber plane. Well, needless to say, the Boomers want that plane. If you do not decide to just wipe them off the face of the map so they can't get involved in the conflict, you actually help them get this bomber plane. If you get them the bomber plane, they love you, and they will side with whatever side you sided with in the coming conflict. So either way, with House, Independent Vegas, or NCR, they'll side with the NCR. Because with House, he wants the NCR to be a customer, basically. Send their citizens to the New Vegas Strip, which is an independent place where they can spend their hard-earned money that House can then turn into tech advances. with independent Vegas, let the NCR, basically it's the same idea, but you make the money now and you can do whatever you want with it. With NCR, it's you're helping the NCR pacify the region and get it stable and defeat the Legion. And either way, the boomers come over and drop bombs on whichever side you don't side with. So if you side with the Legion, they drop them on the NCR, but it is what it is. And the boomers are cool. Of course, they're in Nellis, and I'll let Chris talk a bit about Nellis because clearly it's an important area for
Oh
what we do.
yeah. Oh yeah, most definitely with Nellis and Lake Mead. With Nellis, that is a major alien hub. There's a large concentration of tall white aliens that exist there, along with there's this other faction called the Lancaneers. They're a militaristic tall white Orion hybridized faction that exists there currently. They would look almost like white elves if you saw them, like from Elder Scrolls. They would look like a white elf. And they look like how some of the first generation Orions looked when they broke across space-time. They're basically almost a dead-on copy of that, except they have more of a Spartan or Roman way of thinking. There goes Roman Caesar's Legion again, where you have like some of the Roman mentality along with some of the Cabal mentality in there. Well, with the network of bases that connect from Nellis, Area 51, all the way up into Denver, all the way down into New Mexico with Sandia. That's a major hub for Ebens that exists down there. And all of this is interconnected. Vegas is interconnected. I personally, in my SSP time, I don't believe, saw the Vegas entrances, but we recently saw a program on Gaia where this one insider was talking about this insider's name is John Lear. He was talking about an entrance to the underground bases from Las Vegas within one of the hotels. And it was being built. And he even made a point to say that any of the workers that would look down into the hole were basically shot. They couldn't look down as the base was being constructed. They could only be inside the building or on the other side. They couldn't be seen looking down in when they were building the opening originally. And so Vegas is a major hub for openings for this, and up in Colorado, especially here in Arizona and California, there's major base openings within like regular environments, like shopping malls, businesses, Walmarts, things of that nature. Places like Home Depots, Lowe's, and Walmarts are staging areas where some of the military can come up in and out from Nellis, from Area 51, all those different areas. They can drive literally through this network of bases through that entire area. It's one of the biggest base networks on the planet. Now with the Lake Mead portion, where that bomber is hidden. This is actually very interesting. In the book series, A Stranger at the Pentagon, this is where Valiant Thor's ship is said to be on the banks of Lake Mead or at the bottom of Lake Mead, depending on who you talk to. And he's been there since just post World War II, like in the early 50s. And that is where he is said to be. I'm hoping to make a trip out to Lake Mead at some point to see if that can be located out there or seen, or if I see it with my eyes when I'm out there. But yeah, that's another portion to this. These were all alien hubs. The fact that this team goes to Nellis and finds that ship and takes it apart. That Nellis is a major hub or an inlet for when they have downed alien craft, or if aliens come in. That's a hub where they can land at, along with Area 51. That seems to be a hub, and S4, another place that's up in Nevada there. Everything's all interconnected, so that's a major hub where they would land. In current times, Area 51 is too watched, but there are aliens that still land there. They also land at places in Nebraska and also down here in Arizona as well. But Area 51, Nellis, and parts of New Mexico and Arizona are major hubs that way.
Well, actually, before I forget it, because it is being pulled from my head currently, New Vegas in the game has tunnel networks underneath that led to the vaults that were around Vegas, and they connected to the sewer system too. And Mr. House, sensing that it could be a danger to him, filled the bottom levels of all them and the bottom levels of the vaults around the vault that he could get to around Vegas with concrete as a means to keep anything down there from coming up. And also, the boomers make a point to say they traveled 10 miles off from Nellis to the north to another military complex and got heavy guns that they now, like mortars, that they now use to defend their home with. And they make it seem like it's like nothing that they just did it. So they may be like that could have been a line that was meant to talk about the tunnels between the bases.
Yeah, it was like a nonchalant like reference to this, like it was being spoken as a matter of fact. That's how they disclose some things like that. It's like, oh yeah, there was a tunnel between here and here, and oh yeah, this exists. They'll say it as a matter of fact, like it's like just is. And so the fact that it was done so nonchalantly, insiders will do that, and it looks like they disclosed it in the game that way too.
Yeah. So that was the boomers, and now we're on to the next faction.
I can see that was being pulled from your head because they don't like people connecting the dots like that and being able to compare exact events in the game to exact events that are currently going on or have gone on. And that Vegas is a major hub for this actually going on currently.
Okay, so the next faction is our old friends, the Brotherhood of Steel, who we've been on and off with since Fallout 1. Well, unfortunately for the Brotherhood, in New Vegas, they are a minor faction. That is due to the fact that in the Mojave, which is what they call this area of the wasteland, the Mojave Wasteland, they're pretty messed up. So I will explain this the best I can. Early on in the Brotherhood's lifetime, around the events of Fallout 2, the Brotherhood sent forces into the Mojave, and they basically took over some ex-military compounds and held them, as well as a place called Helios 1, a solar power plant that also held a death laser from the moon, from a satellite that shoots basically that. It's like magnifying solar energy into a big death laser. It ran that. The solar plant was like where that was being developed pre-war. The Brotherhood basically tried endlessly to get the solar panels fixed and to get the solar plant running. One, to power their stuff, and two, control that technological piece, which is important to them so that it doesn't fall into the wrong hands and so they could use it. Unfortunately for the Brotherhood, they could never find the control, which you can actually find in game. It looks like a little toy rocket on a pistol grip called the Euclid Sea Finder. Well, the Brotherhood, when the NCR arrived, the NCR was like, we have power problems. This is a power plant, and we want it. So when the NCR arrived in the region later, kind of only a few years before the events of this game, the Brotherhood would not leave, they started a war. Well, the Brotherhood were vastly superior in arms and armor, as you can clearly see by their NCR, by their paladins, the power armored warriors with laser weapons. Well, the NCR had numbers, and the Brotherhood didn't. The Brotherhood has always been very inclusive and have only taken the best of the best that they can find, and as a result, they are not very large in the West Coast. On the East Coast, they have become strong because they take in people. But on the West Coast, they're still very much this elitist society, mostly of the descendants of military personnel from before the war. Mm-hmm. And the few very rare examples of people they take in, like the Vault Dweller and the Chosen One, but those are very rare. I cannot stress that enough. Well, the Brotherhood lost at Helios 1 and was forced to return to the Hidden Valley bunker right here on the map. And there they've went into a lockdown, and in fact, they're using the bases, like the bunker complex base's defense mechanism to hide themselves. This base is equipped with a cloaking system, and the cloaking system's cool. it clears out all like tech, like way to measure for like electromagnetic field, but it also creates a synthetic sandstorm because the sand around the base has iron filings in it, and it uses a magnetic field to make a sandstorm essentially.
Hmm.
So they've been using that to keep the NCR from finding them. And anytime the NCR gets close, they're able to get rid of the NCR operatives without like getting too much attention on themselves.
Just blaming it on a sandstorm, pretty much. Yeah.
That or they yeah, basically. And the few Brotherhood of Steel groups that are around, that are outside, are reconnaissance that have been watching the events of the NCR Legion War, because the Brotherhood is technically at war with the NCR in the Mojave, but not the other parts of the NCR. So this chapter is hiding out, doing reconnaissance, and also they have supply gatherers around. And one of the companions you can get in the game, named Veronica, is actually a Brotherhood of Steel supply gatherer. But they currently, there's two options with them again: destroy them or get their support. Well, there's only one faction in the game that will not take their support whatsoever. And that's Mr. House, who sees them as like a big threat because he wants to rebuild tech industry and the Brotherhood wants to control tech. So Mr. House, oh, well, there's no chance of getting them to join Mr. House. It's hard with the Legion. The Legion, one of the things I failed to mention is they will not use medical technology. They won't use laser weapons. They will not use armor past like padding. Like they wear sports pads and stuff, and some of them have like legitimately looking Roman-esque style armor, but it's mostly pads and like sports equipment. So the Legion, it's hard to get them to do it, but you can convince Edward Sallow Kaisar that if he allows the Brotherhood to leave the region, that they will be more than a help during the Battle of Hoover Dam that will come at the end of the game, the second Battle of Hoover Dam that will come at the end of the game. And so he allows it. Like I said, House will destroy them. And with the NCR, you can end their conflict. And by ending their conflict, they and the NCR go into a partnership out in the Mojave where they patrol the I-15, help the NCR destroy a group of raiders that go by the Powder Gang. They actually were prisoners in an NCR correctional facility that broke out and now use a lot of like explosives.
Mm-hmm.
They help wipe them out, and they help at the Battle of Hoover Dam, and they come into like a partnership where certain pieces of tech the NCR allows the Brotherhood to take, and the Brotherhood, it helps pacify the region. With Independent Vegas, if you join the Brotherhood of Steel, basically they become part of your defense force for Vegas, and you're just a member of the Brotherhood of Steel, which is cool because they are still a really cool faction.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of it. The Brotherhood of Steel itself has a quest line where you're recovering tech in this game, but it's mostly you do that quest line so you can decide where their allegiance is at the end of the game. And also you can even change the leader of the Brotherhood of Steel in this by invoking some of the ancient bindings that they follow. Like they actually have rules that have not been really upheld, but one of their rules is something called the chains that bind. And if you want to swap out who the elder of the chapter is, you can invoke the chains that bind, because basically the Brotherhood has this stupid system where, say the elder wants to give a command to a low, like a private, what would be a private. He actually has to go down through the entire chain of command. So he's got to go to his underling, who's got to go to his underling, who's got to go to like a sergeant, who then has to give it to the private. And if he doesn't do that, he's in violation of Brotherhood doctrine. So he did that. And if you want to, you can invoke this old rule to get him replaced by another elder. It's rare. It's in fact later on in Fallout 4, you get sent out as a low level all the time by Elder Maxon, so it's clearly not cared about all that much, but it's used in this case just to show you more about the Brotherhood, I guess. One of the cool things I think we can talk about is that this bunker, they basically are sitting on like tech, and they have that cool defense system. Clearly something that would probably be used by government forces.
Yeah, most definitely. They can hide some of their bunkers with, you said the thing about the iron filings and the sandstorm. I've heard of similar things taking place where they'll make things appear as something else. Aliens will do something similar, like they'll make things appear as if it's haunted. They'll use a lot of holography and a lot of smoke and mirrors like that to keep people away from an area. But what it has done in recent days is it's backfired, because paranormal enthusiasts and everything are curious about something if something is said enough, or if there's a legend surrounding something. So people have been more drawn to it in recent days than repelled by it. In earlier history, they would basically say an area is cursed to keep people away from something. Just like there was this, I can't remember the name of the show we were watching offhand, but we were watching a show where somebody awoke in their bed to see an orange orb floating over them, and it was like scanning over the top of them, and then they fell back to sleep, and then the next day there was this mysterious guy that was inside this hotel this guy was staying at that called it, oh, that was the suicide room. It was where this person committed suicide. So this person was not recognized as an employee of this hotel. This guy tried to find this guy later, and it was not, this person wasn't recognized. That was an alien or an agent trying to divert this guy away from the fact that he caught some aliens or some high technology doing something to him. He had woken up during it. He caught it. People always ask, well, why did they reveal themselves? They didn't reveal themselves. He just caught them. His mind wasn't able to be wiped of it. Well, this is also something similar with the Brotherhood of Steel, where they're hiding their facility with the sandstorm. This happens out in those areas. There's also camouflaged bunkers in those areas. Like I've been through the Mojave several times, or parts of the Mojave, and this was based solely on a feeling. I can't prove this exact thing, but there was this old abandoned hotel that Joanna and I passed, and I got this strange feeling like this was an opening to a base. And then further on in, we see a major base out there in the Mojave Desert. It's like, okay, this was an entrance that some panel or something moved in some room. But this was like an abandoned building that you could see several cars parked in a lot, but it was an abandoned building. These were workers that went into this particular base network from that particular parking lot. They go in, and further on in, there would be a guard that would check IDs and all that. It would be further into the tunnel, would be the main door. Now, also what I find interesting in the Fallout series, I know this has nothing to really do with this specific game, but the vault doors themselves, these large cog-like wheel doors that you see in this, on one of the other planetary expeditions I had in the Secret Space program, there was a facility on a different planet that had the same cogwheel type opening of the bases. It was a Nazi base that was on another world that had a bunker that was made from an old structure that was already there. And it was a cogwheel that would open, and you'd hear a pressure open, just like with the vaults. It was essentially a vault. All the openings had something similar, like a small version of those cog doors. They weren't like Star Trek doors or anything like that. They were small versions of these rolling cog doors. They did that to keep it hermetically sealed or safe from anything that any false flag or disease implementation they wanted to perform on the surface. Or some kind of culling they wanted to perform on the surface. Nobody from outside could open those. It always had to be somebody from the interior that opened one of those doors. But it was very similar. And these bunkers there on that world were disguised as holy sites and disguised as like or cursed or haunted areas. in some way. Like if somebody would approach it, it would look like a ghost thing, or some kind of weather event would take place, or something like that. So it's similar here, and that's also what they're depicting in the game too.
In the one DLC that we'll cover in the next episode, just because the DLCs in this game are very big,
Mhm.
there's a hotel that the DLC takes place in where they have holographic like ghost soldiers that like keep the slaves that work there in check.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. That also the Martian Germans, space Germans would do things like that. Space Nazis would do things like that. Our own government does things like that. Again, like if you're close to a facility, they'll have some kind of haunting like that. But that having holographic soldiers keeping them in check, that makes a lot of sense too.
Okay, that was the Brotherhood of Steel though for this game because basically if you get them on your side, they fight it with you at the Battle of Hoover Dam, and that's it. The Great Khans are one of the last major factions, the minor factions that they send you to treat with. So, like the Great Khans have a chance to get out of this with every faction. With Caesar's Legion, you don't have to do anything. They're just with you from the start of the game because Caesar makes a deal with them. They think that they're going to be like upheld within the Caesar's Legion. Caesar really intends to conquer them as soon as he gets rid of the NCR in the region and include them into one of his tribes that he makes into his legionnaires. The Great Khans also push chems, which are drugs, basically, and they're in a conflict with the NCR, as we've already said, but you can end that conflict and allow them to leave peacefully if, as an NCR supporting character, you uncover and bring proof to the leader of the Great Khans, Papa Khan, the plan of Caesar to subjugate them after the battle. The reason why the NCR and the Khans are at war currently is that they've been fighting on and off ever since their founders of both groups left Vault 15. But most recently, it has to do with the massacre of Bitter Springs. So after the events of Fallout 2, when the Chosen One beats back the Great Khans again, they finally like, New California is not for us, so let's get the fuck out of here. And they do. And so they move to this place. If I pull up the map of the world, Bitter Springs is like out here, north of Lake Mead, and east of Vegas, but south of Nellis. And they were camped out there. Well, in preparation, the NCR preemptively struck against them, and NCR First Recon was integral in that. The sniper battalion of the NCR, they unloaded on the Great Khans. The Rangers led the troops against the Great Khan men. The Great Khan men were broken and fell back. And out of a secondary pass out of Bitter Springs, the Great Khan women and children like fleeing. NCR First Recon like almost slaughtered like 90% of them, not realizing that they were like women and children. When the NCR realized what they'd done, they pulled back. The Khans were allowed to leave. The Khans have sworn a blood feud with the NCR. So like, even if you convince the Khans not to help Caesar's Legion, they will not help the NCR in the battle. They will just leave the area and move up into like Montana, what is considered like the north, not the north, like the Pacific Northwest, but like the northern part of the West. And Canada, where they found like a fairly strong tonic society. If you convince them not to join Caesar, if they join Caesar, they're subjugated. If you do independent Vegas, you can still convince them not to help Caesar's Legion, and to leave, or you can convince them to like come onto the strip and be like your chem dealers. And with House, it's kind of the same, except for they don't come onto the strip because House doesn't want chems by any independent faction on the strip. He wants to control the money, so he's going to not allow them around. The cons under house generally do also leave if you tell them about the plot with Caesar. Otherwise, they help Caesar. And if you play a faction and you don't tell them about the plot of Caesar, you end up fighting cons at the Battle of Hoover Dam as well. Even if the cons like you going in, they'll still side with Caesar, and you'll have to kill cons at Battle of Hoover Dam. And they're not hard to kill, so it's not like it really ups Caesar's lead. It just gives them a few more soldiers that are a bit diverse. Yeah, it's a great cons. Nothing too interesting about them.
Yeah, I don't really get a feel too much on them, other than the fact that it's more of a download that I'm getting. It's like how if a scenario like this took place, there would be different breakaway groups that would capitalize on things like the chems or things like everyday items. This is kind of the download that's coming into my head. That's the only feel I'm getting on the great cons. It's how they would be more like smugglers, drug runners, maybe spies, or they for hire. Like I could even see assassins for hire, in some timeline like that, where they would just be independent. It's like almost like the epitome of like a Mad Max type scenario with them specifically. It's like that with them specifically.
Yeah, like Benny, when he goes after you, he hires them as like muscle. And they're just kind of a cool post-apocalyptic faction you can meet, but they don't have anything super significant to this. I only add that in there because they are a decently major part of that second portion of the story. Mm-hmm. And a part that shows Caesar doesn't really value alliances after their usefulness is gone. Mm-hmm. Much like the real Romans didn't, to be honest.
No, they didn't, no.
The kings are the final minor faction. Caesar's legion just wipes them off the map if they win, and they have nothing to do with them. But the major period when the kings come in is if you're doing independent Vegas, Houses Vegas, or the NCR. The kings have been fighting NCR in their area, which is called Freeside. Freeside is this area around north and west in East Vegas, the Vegas Strip area. And it's a slum, essentially, around Vegas of areas that were not directly all blown up by the war, but were pretty much blown up by the war. They're a gang that controls Freeside, essentially. And they basically modeled themselves off Elvis. In fact, their base, where they're located out of, is called the King's School of Impersonation. They never actually come out and say Elvis. They always refer to just him as the king. But there is a character who is like their leader who goes by the king. But even he's like, I found this place and we have dedicated ourselves to acting like the king. I am just the current king. And they wear different outfits that are inspired by Elvis. Like they have the jailhouse rocker uniform. They have the leather jacket and white t-shirt. And then the king wears the white suit. And so they're making trouble for the NCR and NCR citizens that are moving through Freeside into Vegas. So that's why House and independent Vegas, you get involved. But the NCR, you get involved because they're harassing NCR citizens. And you broker a peace deal between the Kings and the NCR. That's the Kings are still in control of Freeside, they won't hurt NCR citizens if the NCR pays them off. They can put a toll essentially to go through the Freeside. And if you do independent Vegas, you can you can incorporate them essentially. Especially if you wipe out Benny's casino, you can give them the tops, which is that casino. If you don't, then they just continue to run Freeside. And if Mr. House has a use for them as sort of bouncers.
Okay.
But yeah, that's the Kings, minor faction, really small. I just included them because it's funny because they impersonate Elvis.
Yeah, that is. I feel it was more of a joke on the writer's part when they put them in. That it's Vegas, you got to have something about Elvis in there, So I feel okay, we'll just see what faction would arise in 200 years after a great war, with Elvis. It's just just like later on, when I was playing Fallout 76, for instance, they had a cult of Mothman in that. It's like it was more of a joke, like they were worshiping Mothman. It's kind of like this with the Kings, where it's like this centering around Elvis. So this was more of a gag or a joke on their part. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm also just showing that like these games are pure Americana and like they take jokes and make fun of American culture anyway. So yeah, but I included them just because it's funny that there's like this post-apocalyptic Elvis group.
Yeah, it is rather funny actually. Yeah.
So after all of your work in the Mojave, getting factions to side with each other, here comes the big final conflict. The Second Battle of Hoover Dam. And there are some factions that I didn't mention that are even more minor than the Kings that you can get to side with you. Like there's a group of remnants, like really old people that were once part of the Enclave that will bring a vertibird and like assault whatever side you don't choose. But yeah, the Battle of Hoover Dam, it's pretty self-explanatory. The Legion tries to cross again. The NCR tries to stop them. The Legion will win or fail depending on your choices. If you're with the Legion, they'll win. If you're independent, NCR or House, they will lose. You'll either have to, if you win, you kill the colonel in charge of the NCR, who has the Legion. If you're any of the other choices, you attack and fight Legate Lanius, or you can convince Lanius that Caesar doesn't have long left to live. The Legion is not strong enough to cross the river. After their second defeat, he should go back and basically try to keep the Legion from completely falling apart when Caesar does die. And he sees wisdom in this. You need to have a 100 speech skill to get him to like come to this bargaining table. And he figures it out, and he's like, yes, you're right. I will go back east, and I will ensure the Legion does not fail entirely with Caesar's death. And it ends the game. If you're doing independent Vegas or House, the NCR colonel will then come with his like bodyguards and try to award you. And that's when he learns that House and you have an army that they don't know about. And you're basically like, you will respect the sovereignty of the Strip, or we will activate this robot army. And they're pretty much forced to capitulate.
All right.
But yeah, that's kind of the end of the main story of Fallout New Vegas. What is cool about it is you do get to see a cutscene after of what the ramification of your choices with each faction are. And actually, before we end this portion, I will grab one more picture because I forgot kind of about this faction until just now. They're not a major faction. They're actually they're a way you can get some information about Benny early on, but this guy, he's a leader of a cult of ghouls that want to believe that the glow, which is like their religion, is calling them out to space. So they go to a rocket facility and you get to launch them into space to start a ghoul colony in space. And they're like where they worship radiation, and only ghouls can go because the journey would be too harrowing for anyone that's not a ghoul. And they like fly off into what they call the great beyond. And like you can help you help them either way by getting them onto the rockets. And then if you're a good guy, you can like adjust the path to make it better. If you don't have the science skill, you just launch the rockets if you're a good guy. And if you're a bad guy, you can basically cause the rockets to crash. And they die. But it's interesting because they worship radiation, and they're trying to fly to a better place for themselves, which I believe would probably be Orion.
Yeah, that's essentially, they're drawn out to space because of the radiation. Yeah, I feel that that is a direct reference to Orion. They would more than likely fly out that way or drawn that way. Just like there's a lot of people now that are drawn to Orion that are being influenced from different time frames and different through sometimes different channelings or different intuitive inklings to look out to Orion to be able to open a doorway to have some of those past Orions come through and try to implement that radioactive timeline. So yeah, this is a loose reference to that. Yeah.
Yeah, this is actually the funniest picture. This is, oh, well, wait, hold on. Yeah, that's them getting ready to fly off in their rockets, like with just radioactive goo around them.
Okay, yeah. So they would survive with the goo. Yeah, the goo itself. Yeah, that's even though that's also Orion in origin. Yeah, that this makes sense that they would have this around them. Some of the classic like sci-fi Orion looks. They always have like these bubble helmets and the like the old movie Mars Attacks, for instance, where they have those stupid bubble
Yeah.
helmets and stuff around them. It was like that. Yeah.
Yeah, these are definitely a reference to those movies and stuff. So,
Yeah.
and even just the shape of these rockets, they look like toys from the 50s.
Yeah, I like the retro look. They even give that to the aliens. They give it to them. Yeah, that it's a nod back to that time frame. It's also a nod back to Valiant Thor's time frame, going back to the Lake Mead thing. That's a whole not. They make reference to Lake Mead and that bomber being underneath and everything. Yeah, that's a nod back to that specific time.
Yeah, I completely forgot about this until just now, but yeah, that was Fallout New Vegas's main story. I'm gonna stop screen sharing now, and we'll see if anyone wants to talk, or do you want to go into gameplay?
We'll just do the talk, and then we can go into gameplay. Yeah.
All right.
We can always. So, do you want to say the DLCs then for other episodes, or?
Yeah, we'll do DLCs next episode because this has already been an hour and 20 minutes.
Yeah, unless we want like a 3-hour episode, like the Skyrim episode was. I don't think people have the time to look through all that. So yes.
Yeah, and the DLCs, they're like 4 long DLCs, all with a bunch of tech and stuff that we'll be talking about, and especially the one.
Okay, so that's smart to do that. So I know I heard Isaac's voice and I heard other beings that were around too. I was thinking there was this particular Dogman hybrid that we've been talking to during the week on a couple of things that I thought was going to come through and be kind of like the historian with this. But Isaac seems to be the better choice since he's involved in a lot of like around these different factions. But also, before we go into this, I'm also going to request again, like I do in the other episodes, that Benevolent Isaac make a reference within the gameplay later on that brings up a point he's trying to make. And he seems to do it every single time. So I just heard him go, damn right. Okay. So I can hear him in the background. I've had to make a new edifice for him since I have to keep his old one outside. I had to make an orgone piece that had all the proper protections in place and stuff like that. That's in our bedroom. It's in the I make this altar space. I may even include a picture in this edited in, but there's this skull, like black skull thing with like 2 copper pipes and stuff that stick up. And I figured, okay, that could be what he speaks through. So instead of his original. Isaac, Benevolent Isaac out there. Okay, there we go. Yeah, there you are. Why are you some like weird disembodied face this time? That's weird. Are you just trying to be creepy, or what are you doing? Okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay. You're out there. I saw this weird bug. He was doing this weird disembodied face. I think he was trying to make a reference to Mr. House, where it was like where he was on the screen, but yet he was in that stasis chamber too. So he was trying to make a reference to that. Okay, Isaac. Okay. Ooh. Man, there's also I noticed even though the energy is calm, there's some friction. There's been some friction building as well during this. Usually, you can tell when the jitteriness starts to really starts to build a little bit. It was around the time when we were talking about the all the pathways between bases and linked through Vegas and stuff like that. It started to get a little jittery, depending on the subject that's being talked about. Okay, is there a specific point you want to make before he goes into gameplay? Or yeah, yes, I know he went yes, dumbass. Okay, let me see. Good Lord. Okay, are you going to leave EVPs this time, or have you done it already and we just hadn't heard any? Oh, you're putting them throughout. Okay, yeah, well, that's great. Now I'm going to have to listen to the whole thing again and see if there's something in there. Okay. Or sometimes he'll say that, and then there's nothing, and he just made me watch the whole thing again. So as a joke. So he was laughing when we were talking about the Kings, for instance. I heard him laughing because that was a joke. Like it's almost like he helped implement some of that. So it's probably like a gag he himself put in there. So we'll find out. Okay, yeah. Isaac. Oh, Jesus. Okay, you have a big pocket of high energy around you. There's like this supercharged pocket around him. So let's see. Ooh. All right. Okay, Isaac, if you want to use the crystal, please. That supercharged energy you have around you, that's interesting. It feels really weird. There's like this strange, like wherever he's broadcasting from. So yes, I know the area, but you have to define which area. But around him or me? Me. Okay. All right. All right. You mean in the tunnels and everything underneath and the different base? Okay. Okay. Let's see here. All right, Isaac, anytime. Some people believe that I myself am part of some of these different factions. And yes, I have been around them. Let's just say I've been around the block a few times and have been intricately involved in some of these different programs. But the reason that you were getting such interference, speaking about the different tunnels, even though some of this information is known, they do not always want a comparison between your fictitious or seemingly fictitious environments and that of your current reality or current scripting 3D matrix reality, let's just say, and how to break free of such. The references between all the factions that he has referenced are dead on the mark. And the tunneling under Las Vegas and the accompanying bases are all 100% accurate. I myself have traveled between all of these. Some are linked to also Yuma, Arizona, as well as Luke Air Force Base, where I have frequented, also bases out in the state of California. All of them are interlinked either through a set of tunnels, highways, byways, or back maintenance passageways that can link even the most compartmentalized programs, mostly for pipes and water supply and supply chains and deliveries and such. There are openings all the way from here's location all the way through the Mojave. The one that he sensed was only one of several to get into this base system. Some are within strip malls. This is also why you see so many strip malls through the country. This is there are openings within several of these as well that even the employees of these shops and stores do not know about. Also, the references to Walmart, Home Depot, and Lowe's. There are openings within a grand majority of these particular locations. There are secret rooms either underneath or in the back shipping areas that are completely unbeknownst to any of the employees. Some are hidden through holographic walls that would appear solid. If you were to get close to this and discover this, you probably would disappear at that particular point. But they do take a great risk, and I have said this to them several times, that there is a great risk involved in this particular set of procedures. But in this, I can honestly say that this particular timeline, as it is seen, will not happen in the Mad Max type of scenario. But there are white hats, as you call them, to be, that have put information in there to help prepare people for when or whenever something like this, an event like this, would occur. Just in case something like this would occur, they're showing different scenarios that might pop up as the different thought patterns and ideas and creativity of people would emerge outside of a war type scenario, as well as the Orion references are all true within this particular scenario, as you too have seen them to be. So I can go into questions.
How many people roughly on this planet currently have access to those kind of chambers that Mr. House put himself into? Humans, I mean.
That is very interesting. Within these particular programs, there are a minority that have access to those particular healing chambers. Now, as regards of body transfer chambers that are very similar to this, not only the ones with the liquid, but the ones very much like Mr. House was in, there are coffin sarcophagi type ones. There are a numerous number of military and corporate officials that have access to these particular chambers. You yourselves, even on the television multiple times, have seen the same person pass into several bodies within over the years. You have seen them in both male and female forms, you see, that have either been streamed from a computer matrix from an original person, very similar to Mr. House, the way he is broadcasting, or a full soul transfer to a body. But the percentage of this within those inner circles, within the main inner circle, is quite high. I would have to say at least 80%. But in the other lower tiers, this particular percentage drops to under 20%, and the further out from the inner circle that you go. But from within the inner circle itself, the heads of the heads of some of the different cabal factions, that's up to more than 80%. Also within the different government projects where there are espionage missions and different body transfers, even some punishments from people being put from male to female or vice versa within some of your transgenderism and the like. This percentage is also quite high. But as far as negative agents go within your society, the ones known as inborns, there are roughly 150 million of them globally. That is a low percentage as far as 8 billion people go. But in the other respect, where it's just body transferring and agents, that percentage is quite a bit higher, where they are causing some problems within your society. Again, you could easily meet the same person 5 or 6 times within different body transfers, and also with the healing technology, such as stasis and healing medbeds. That is reserved only for some of the elite here on Earth, the Martian Germans, the Ceres colony, the moon, and various outwardly space colonies that do exist out there. But very few places on Earth actually have those technologies.
Thank you. With regards to the tunnel system throughout Vegas, how heavily trafficked is it? Is it used mostly to shuffle around military and alien groups, or is it used a lot by the elite just at their whim?
It is both, actually. It is used quite often as different staging areas and transfer areas for different military and alien groups and elite groups. This is also why they demolish hotels so very, very quickly and erect new ones, because they need different openings, different places to accommodate different groups, different aliens, and sometimes the old structures cannot accommodate these new upgrades or these new things and these new people. This is why it happens so very, very often. There is a large traffic system under Las Vegas. One could say that it is a hub, a terminal, or a capital, very much like your state of Alaska has a very large alien terminal and portal. There is a portal under Las Vegas, very deep in the government facility, so it is a major hub. Some people mistake Denver for this particular hub, which in fact there is a portal system there. There is a terminal going down into New Mexico, but this larger one than the two is under Las Vegas itself. So Las Vegas is primarily an alien military and cabal hub.
Thank you. Is Caesar's Legion and the NCR a direct reference to groups within sort of the background? Caesar's Legion being the domination and control enslavement faction, and the NCR more of the reformed American faction?
Yes, they are indeed direct references, along with the Brotherhood of Steel and some of the cons, for instance. The cons being, again, the smugglers and all of that, and the hitmen like they are, and the spies like they are in the games. The NCR and Caesar's Legion are in direct reference to two major factions that you hear the most about. Some people just call them white hats and black hats, but these are two major factions within the different operations and shadow operations that take place out there. There are breakaways from those and many other factions that have their own banners and their own emblems. But there are two larger ones that are making reference to the elitist, which would also, you could say, is the enclave as well. But Caesar's Legion, which would treat everyone else as slaves, and you have the NCR, which indeed are, like, say, some of the Mosin and human factions working together along with some other either roguish groups or other human project managers and project, as you would say, foremen that are integrated in what you would see as the NCR. So yes, this is a real-time depiction that is currently going on.
Thank you. And do these factions have symbols attached to them of the bear and the bull?
Yes, they do have references to bulls, bears, lions as well, and some cat-like factions as well. They have like, say, certain factions that work with a group known as Time Corps. For instance, they have two rampant lions facing each other. There are different references also to different Anunnaki lords, such as the bull would be a reference to Baal, and like the owl is a reference to Moloch. But these particular military factions use these as different references. There are also some that have eagle standards, very much like your country's symbol here, as well as the Roman and Nazi standards. That would fall under more of the Caesar's Legion type reference. There are other factions that do use the symbols of the bear, symbols of the eagle, symbols of the tigers, symbols of lions, and various other lizards, raptors, and other various creatures. So if you were to see the entirety of all the smaller factions that are out there, you would see a variation of all of these.
Thank you. Now, this will be a bit more of a difficult question. In a scenario where the world has come to this sort of world, the Fallout universe, I've been putting this question off since Fallout 2's show. Is it unlikely that there would not be alien overlords by this point in the timeline?
Yes, there would be alien overlords by that point in the timeline, watching all the factions, as you would say, vie for power and cull each other down to a more realistic number that they could control. If not, a war would have dealt with that previously. But yes, there would have been a more alien overlords in a timeline such as this. That particular timeline has been depicted in a multitude of your movies. He himself picked up on a variation of this. Even in your brand new cut of your Justice League, it was also depicted.
Thank you. That is all I have for today's questions.
Thank you. Oh. And he's right about the Justice League. We recently saw the Schneider cut of Justice League, that 4-hour behemoth movie on HBO Max. And yeah, there are major references to the Dark Timeline in that, or variations of the Dark Timeline with alien invaders and alien overlords and such. So yeah, and also there would also a variation of different factions. What he didn't mention was there's different alien factions that if say if a culling like that would take place, they would try to take up residence on the Earth as different factions with different emblems as well. There are aliens like the Lancaneers that I mentioned further that have homes on the planet around Nellis and around in some fenced off areas. There's also other races that have evolved here. Like there's a rodent type race here. There's another lizard type race here, and races such as that also live here along with us. That would also kind of vie for territory as well. And in a scenario such as that. Even some of the factions I've run into, alien ones, said, yeah, this would happen if humans were no longer an issue. There would be fighting over different territorial rights and land rights. There's also mineral rights that some of them think they have on Earth too. They try to steal mineral resources, gold, silver, and different gemstones and such on this planet. I've catched aliens dealing with different corporations that do mining, for instance. They want to circumvent the different elemental rights that are here, and some galactic groups, negative galactic groups, try to broker deals with mining companies for resources as well. So that some of that would start to expand in a timeline like that as well.
Yeah. No, the only reason I covered it was because I couldn't believe that 200 years after a nuclear conflict like that, even though their societies on the waste, that the negative factions would allow them to grow without direct alien disclosure of like negative alien overlords.
Yeah, exactly. And also the reason also it would take a little while for this to get ironed out is people think, oh, disclosure is going to happen all right now. And, the Cabal and Nazis are going to go away. But you have the space Nazis and you have all these other groups out there other than just the Orions, too. You have you have all these other groups. Humanity is going to have to be dealing with this for years to come to iron out some kind of accord with a lot of some of these different groups. And there's multiple groups in the solar system, too, that has been revealed as well, where there's at least 40 different planets or 39, plus Earth planets in the system that have civilizations on them. So humanity is going to have a huge populated system by the time we will get out there. So we can go into gameplay if you'd like.
All right, let me try to get the game running.
Finally, we got it to work, folks.
All right, so we're here in Freeside currently in the Atomic Wrangler. It's like a bar and small casino.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, chum.
I'll turn in that quest later because it's actually pretty disgusting. That quest is messed up. He basically gets you to go get like prostitutes for his bar.
Oh my God.
And one of them's like a sex bot.
Oh, Jesus.
So yeah, there's the King's school. And here's some of the Kings because we've been making fun of them the whole time.
What's going on? Squatters aren't happy about the water rationing. But then when are they ever happy?
But here we are. We're going on to this New Vegas strip now. So
you look new to Freeside, so here's a... The name's Old Ben. I've been living in Freeside since the day I was born. I've done a bit of everything around here. Courier, butcher, crier, escort, some of which I'm not proud of. Exactly one of the reasons I got out of that job. Too many shifty characters looking to have someone else move their hot items.
okay, so here's the real entrance to the strip.
Submit to a credit check or present your passport before proceeding to the gate. Trespassers will be shot. Admission to the strip requires an official passport or proof that you are carrying the required minimum balance. These policies prevent less reputable persons from entering and ensure a good time will be had by all who enter the strip. Thank you, sir. You may proceed.
Yeah, like Mr. House even makes sure.
Even makes what?
He makes sure that people have the right, have a minimum amount of money before they get onto the strip, or have a pass that says they can come in.
That's it. Keep moving.
Howdy, partner. You come for a piece, haven't you? Welcome to New Vegas. Do I look destroyed, partner? It's harder to put old Vic in Boot Hill than you might think. I wouldn't be much use stuck inside just one Securitron. No, if the one I'm in turns up a goner, I just find. Consider me your personal welcome. Now hear this. The head honcho of New Vegas, Mr. House, is itching to make your acquaintance. Just head for the Lucky 38. It's the big old tower shaped like a roulette spinner. Don't you dawdle, little doggy. Mr. House isn't someone you want to go about snubbing. He'll be waiting.
We're gonna go after Benny first, because we're actually gonna go through a little bit of the game just to show you the quality of the voice acting and the theming. But
Oh yeah, it's looking cool so far. I have only just started this, so
I mean, I have mods that make it look nicer than on console, but yeah.
Hey, fella. Smooth. Oh, and a friendly word of advice. Now that we got that little business out of the way, what can I do to make your tops?
Oh wait, no, I want to do this peacefully, so I'm gonna have to go talk to Mr. House first,
okay.
because I don't want to destroy that casino. And that casino kind of just gets destroyed for the rest of the game if you don't.
Oh, if you don't do it the right way, okay.
Because then everybody in there helps Benny, and it turns into like a shootout.
Well, howdy, partner. Good. Come back.
The heart and soul of the Capitol.
That's significant because those doors haven't opened in 200 years.
Oh, okay.
You're the first person alive allowed inside the Lucky 38, where Mr. House lives.
Where to, partner? In-house floor.
Well, hello, Sugar. Mr. House is waiting for you in his office. I'm Jane, one of Mr. House's girls. We keep him entertained. We don't get many guests lately. Perhaps we can entertain you as well. Not many people know this, but Mr. House is one of the world's biggest collectors of antique snow globes. If you happen to, in fact,
This meeting has been a long time coming, hasn't it? You've come a long ways, literally, and I suspect figuratively as well. I have to ask, now that you've reached your destination, what do you make of what you see? A crude question, crudely asked. I'll be happy to satisfy your rambunctious curiosity at a more appropriate moment. But now I'll repeat my question. What do you make of what you see? Oh, come now, don't play the fool. Vegas has fools enough, a superfluity of them. They're what makes it so profitable. They come to Vegas chasing penny-ante dreams of high living, to feel like they're big shots, like they're winners. You see that you and I are of a different stripe, don't you? We don't have to dream that we're important. We are. Oh, don't be coy. You've been playing a high-stakes game ever since Victor dug you out of the ground. Don't be afraid to admit it. The business is this. One of my employees has stolen an item of extraordinary value from me, and I want it recovered. Simple enough. What did you wish to know? It won't be easy. Benny is always surrounded by at least 4 bodyguards, except when he's in his private suite on the 13th floor of the Tops. If you were to approach Benny in public, you might be able to leverage his fear of exposure to make him agree to meet with you in private. It's more complicated than that. The chairmen share what you might call a tribal affinity. Look for a man named Swank, Benny's second-in-command. He's always been a reliable, if unimaginative, employee. Do your best to convince him that you're working under my auspices. If you have evidence of Benny's crimes, show it to him. It's a very special item. There's nothing else like it in the entire world. It was lost a long time and difficult to find. That's all you need to know about it for this stage of our enterprise. Fulfill your contract, deliver the chip, and good things will come your way. You might keep an eye out for any computers that Benny's been using. Maybe even a computer lab of some sort. You realize you were just one of many couriers. The rest of them, dummies, so to speak. Add to that many thousands of caps worth of mercenary protection to screen your avenue of approach. Had I used an armed caravan to transport the chip, I might as well have been announcing to the world, this is important, attack this. I didn't want to attract the attention of groups like the Great Khans or the Brotherhood of Steel. Alas, the real threat was closer to home. Benny has led the chairman ever since I recruited his tribe 7 years ago. Until his recent misbehavior, I planned to make him my protege. Maybe if I'd begun grooming him sooner, none of this would have happened. To achieve my aims, I require a capable human agent to perform certain tasks. I knew Benny was ambitious, even ruthless, but I believed he would do the job so long as he was incentivized appropriately. Obviously, I miscalculated his drive for supremacy, but in any case, you've come along, a more than suitable replacement. Why didn't Victor intervene sooner, you mean? Goodsprings is a bit too far away for me to reliably control a Securitron agent by remote. I can send and receive packets of data at best. Victor's combat algorithms determined the proper course of action. Benny and his thugs were more than a match for a lone Securitron. When he alerted me, I instructed him to approach the site after Benny and the... I have to think that he found out about the platinum chip and mistakenly convinced himself that he could use it to his own ends. One of the problems of a tribal workforce, I'm afraid. No intuitive understanding of how complex technologies can be. My only concern is when you bring the chip to me, I will pay you 4 times the delivery bonus stipulated in your contract. How's that? Well enough. Return to me when you have the platinum chip in your possession. Any final matters for us to discuss? Until then.
You can just tell.
Yeah, this is interesting because the Orions and also other aliens in times past would actually send out heroes to gather objects for them that they could not get to, either because of a situation like Mr. House, where they were inside of a chamber and they couldn't get it themselves because they were too weak, or it was a situation that got out of their control that they just figured they'd send a servant in to do it, like a creature or a piece of technology that was lost to them. So this is something I call the Hercules Initiative, where Zeus would send Hercules out on the 12 labors. So this is very similar to that in that respect.
I did not expect it to be raining when I came outside. So for me, I didn't hear half of what you just said. So wait till I get inside, because I don't know, the audio for the rain is too loud.
Okay.
All I heard was there we go.
Like what I was saying before, though, was like the gods would send out heroes, so to speak, to gather objects or to get rid of creatures or experiments that they made that they could no longer control. And I believe this was a representation of that, where sometimes the gods would send out men or heroes to gather lost tech. It would be technological, obviously, but it was considered like magical then, and that's very similar to what Mr. House was doing, brokering that deal.
Yeah, no, yeah, this game, yeah, you can tell he's influenced by, like, he's based off of, like, the Orions.
Mm-hmm.
He's got that arrogant attitude and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the vain type attitude. That's how they think. That's how they dealt for thousands of years. Like that, sending people out to do their bidding like that. So yeah, I saw that was a direct comparison to the mythology, like the 12 labors of Hercules. I thought that was very, very interesting.
Hey, baby, what's the hat?
Now we have to find Swank. Here he is.
Hey there, pal. Welcome to the Tops. What can I do for you today? Really? You got something to say about the big boss, huh? Huh? What are you talking about? That doesn't... Why would he pull a stunt like that? He's trying to pull a fast one on the big man. Crazy bat. Yeah? Yeah, that looks like Benny's lighter, all right. Still, not exactly. That's pretty shady, yeah. Could be Benny's up to no good. Could... Jesus, kid, I think we got a real problem on our hands. Can't believe Benny's a no-good stinking punk trying to play house like that. Tell you what, I'll call Benny, keep him away from his suite. You go search the place. Here's the key, it's on the 13th floor. It's a room with the double doors, can't miss it. Maybe you'll find something. Groovy, here's your stuff back. In case you run into company, you dig. I'll tell the boys to give you a pass to pack some heat. Go on then. Elevators are past the slot machines on your left.
So yeah, this is one of the casinos here on the strip. And you can actually, like, gamble just like in Vegas.
That's interesting.
Hey, hi there. Good to meet you. What can I do for you today? He was around here not too long ago. He's probably down on the casino floor now. You can wait for him here if you like. I'm incapable of asking you to leave. Good question. My function is to monitor Mr. House's data network and decode his encrypted transmissions. Allow me to introduce myself. I'm a PDQ-88B Securitron, but you can call me Yes Man. As I understand it, I used to be just like all those other Securitrons out on the strip. But then my neurocomputational matrix was completely reprogrammed to be nice. Very, very nice. Sure, Benny had me look at it a bunch of times. It's a data storage device, kind of like a holotape, but a lot more advanced. As for what's on it, well, some of Mr. House's data transmissions made it sound like the chip could upgrade his defenses somehow. That's just a guess, though. The chip's a proprietary format. You need special hardware to read the data on it. There are 2 locations with non-standard hardware on the network, the Lucky 38 and an underground facility at Fortification Hill. I'd look there. Oh, he had some help. A lady friend of his. She said something about living in a fort over in Freeside. But that's all I remember. Oh, he wants to kill Mr. House and use the platinum chip to copy my neurocomputational matrix onto the Lucky 38's mainframe. That should give me control over all Mr. House's defenses, most prominently his Securitrons. And then I just do what Betty tells me. Easy peasy. I was programmed to be helpful and answer any questions I was asked. I guess nobody bothered to restrict who I answer questions for. That was probably pretty dumb, huh?
That's pretty funny.
Then I'd have to help you. I mean, it seems pretty obvious Benny wouldn't want me to, but hey, not my fault I can't say no. Again, goal number 1 is to eliminate Mr. House and install my neurocomputational matrix on the Lucky 38's mainframe. Given how you're a new arrival, I also recommend that you get to know some of the region's tribes, so you can decide how you feel about them. By the time you finished up all of that, the Legion should be close to attacking Hoover Dam, and we'll execute the last phase of the plan. It makes me feel really dumb to admit this, but I don't actually know. I've never been inside the Lucky 38. No one has. Mr. House is in there, though. It's the central node of... You have? Wow, that's amazing. You can murder Mr. House whenever you want. I mean, Benny was always scheming about how he was going to get into the Lucky 38, but you already took care of that. Wow. The other thing you're going to need is the platinum chip. You know, the one Benny killed a courier for over near Good Springs. I knew he was carrying the platinum chip, and I knew right where Benny should wait for him. That's why Benny put me here, to monitor Mr. House's data transmissions. They're all encrypted, of course, but I'm quite a decryptor. Did you know that Mr. House spent 812,545 caps hiring salvage teams to find the platinum chip just in the last year alone? Of course you didn't. Or that there were 7 couriers, but 6 of them were carrying junk. How about their exact routes and the mercenary teams that screened them? I knew all that. Pretty smart, huh? I know that's not true because you still have a head. That's not funny, you getting shot in the head. I really shouldn't have taken so much pride in how I set that up, huh? I feel really bad right now.
Yeah, that's why Yes Man's funny. He's like always nice, even about really dark things.
That's pretty funny.
Benny carries it with him at all times. I think he's paranoid that someone might want to take it from him. The platinum chip is the key to overriding and exploiting Mr. House's defenses. Did I just say exploiting? That's not a very nice word. I'd take it straight to Mr. House if I were you. He'll think you're helping him out. Then, when he's not looking, kerpow! The big question is whether to give him the chip before you do him in. He's the one who'll know exactly what to do with it after all. He might upgrade his defensive capabilities right away, or even unlock new ones. But then those defensive upgrades might make it harder for you to finish him off. Hard to say. It's up to you. Let me know when it's done and I'll roll over to the Lucky 38. If I'm right about the chip, I should be able to install myself on House's mainframe. This is going to be great. I'm going to help you accomplish so much, whether I want to or not. This is Benny's workshop. When the Tops got renovated, he had this half of the floor blocked off for his own use. I guess you could say it's my entire world. I don't think I've ever left this room, but that's okay. I'm not complaining. See you around.
God, that's creepy. Okay.
Yeah, isn't he like creepy?
Yeah. And see this little back hallways, like some of the back hallways and some of the bases too, where all the pipes and such are. It looks very similar to this, but more wet.
Yeah, this reminds me of that concept of like the hidden hallways.
Yeah. Yeah, this is exactly what it's like. Yeah.
Doesn't go anywhere either. It's weird. All the doors are inaccessible.
Yeah, the ones in the bases would slide open to other office areas or other secret project areas and everything.
Trying to wait off that rain sound.
Oh yeah, it had to have been loud on your side. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Is this serious? Okay, well. I've waited a day in game and it hasn't stopped raining. Okay.
Civilizing Prim will show what we can
I'm gonna go outside and I'm gonna fast travel and I'm gonna come back and that's how not be.
Okay. Yeah, it should fix that.
It generally will. Hopefully.
Jesus.
There we go. All right then, and we get to see a man gunned down by Securitrons.
Okay.
He was trying to run into the strip without paying.
Oh, okay. There we go.
I don't think.
Huh. So the Garrett sent you to... I'd rather...
What'd you gun him down for?
Quest thing. I just knew I had to.
Oh, okay.
He didn't pay a debt, basically.
Oh, okay.
And I was acting as a debt collector, and they didn't want anything but his head. So.
Oh, okay.
All right, Swank, here you go.
You're back. Find anything? He's what? Ah, jeez. Take him out. Jesus. Okay, well, if you think that's the best way to deal with this, then don't worry about the rest of the chairman. I'll keep him from getting involved. You'll still have to watch out for Benny's guards. Go on then. Elevator's a pet. Hello?
There he is. I don't want him to see me because that'll start a situation.
Oh, okay, it'll start a whole. Okay, yeah.
And I don't want to ruin this. Because when you talk to Benny up here, he freaks out. He's like, "What in the goddamn?"
Oh, he's
But-
in the room? Okay, yeah.
Well, you have to like wait for him in his room. Hopefully it works. And there's no bug with it where he just...
Welcome back, children. You're listening
Oh, here he
to
is.
What in the goddamn? You? How could you be? Oh, Swank, you finky bastard. You got a crazy drop on me, baby, but you don't want to kill me. We should be working together. Can't do that, baby. The chip, I can copy the president. Give me a moment or two to catch my breath and knock back a few cocktails. I'll clue you in, guarantee. Or else what?
Okay, he felt kind of weird. He was like, "Oh."
That's just the ragdoll effect.
Yeah, that's yeah, he was all ragdoll. Yeah.
Did you know the strip's all stirred up lately?
Is Benny taken care of yet? Huh. Guess that makes me the boss. Ring a ding. Yeah. See ya, kid.
Like you just like jump over stuff instead of walk around.
Yeah, it's just like, why walk around?
The eyes of the mighty Kaiser are upon you. He admires your accomplishments and bestows upon you the exceptional gift of his mark. Any crimes you may have perpetrated against the Legion are hereby forgiven. Kaiser will not extend this mercy a second time. My lord requires your presence at his camp at Fortification Hill. His mark will guarantee your safe conduct through our lands. Go to him, and you will understand. Seek Kaiser by way of Cottonwood Cove, south of Nelson. The Corsair Kumos will be waiting. Kaiser awaits.
Fucking Crocker couldn't find his ass if it wasn't on his backside.
Can I help you? You can find him in the main embassy building, inside the gate and to your left. This is the NCR embassy, our little slice of heaven on the strip. The main building houses administration, while the other building is the MP headquarters on the strip. The usual, troopers getting drunk and causing problems. Like that's a surprise to anyone. Hell, I plan on getting drunk once I'm done with my shift.
Maybe even head over to Gamora for a good time.
Sir.
You look like you just crawled out of the desert.
This is the NTR embassy, as you can tell. Because the strip is autonomous, so the NTR has an embassy here.
Okay.
Your embassy. How can I? Ambassador Crocker can be found in his office through the door to my right and at the end of the hall.
Oh wait, she said her right. Went the wrong way. I'm like, that doesn't look right. There. Oh, he's like a spy. Look at him.
Mm-hmm. Like a man in black with a dagger, yeah.
And he had a big knife on his hip.
The #1 radio.
Why'd you destroy that?
Because it was playing a sound effect. It's not dead. It's just turned off for a moment.
Okay.
Make it. I have something I wanted to discuss with you. It's a very important matter, and I have a strong feeling you're the perfect person for the job. I'm sure you've noticed that things are a little tense around here with all the issues between the NCR, the Legion, and Mr. House. It doesn't take a genius to see that something big is going to happen soon. To be honest, I'm not willing to let that happen, and I don't think you're the kind of person that would either. To the northeast is a settlement. The locals here call them boomers. They're sitting on a munition stockpile that would be invaluable to us. I would like you to get in contact with them and then do whatever it takes to convince them to help us. Unfortunately, the boomers keep to themselves and are, let's say, hostile to all outsiders. That's why I need someone like you. Someone with your background and reputation would have a better chance of reaching them than anyone I have available. In exchange for your help, you would receive complete amnesty for any past crimes against the NCR, as well as additional benefits and perks. Do you think you... Much appreciated. Once you've talked to them, come back and let me know if they will help us. Goodbye.
Patrolling the Mojave almost makes you wish for a nuclear winter.
Now we're going to go give House his chip.
Okay.
And I have a mod that makes this all open in game, in the base game. This is like split up by like walls.
Okay.
I have a mod just because it's like meant to be open, but when the game dropped, it like they didn't have the technological means to make it open, but now they do.
Oh, now they do. So it was surrounded by walls originally.
It had like walls between the casinos that you had to load through.
Oh, okay.
To save up space on your, to basically keep your system from crashing.
Okay, so when I encountered the same thing, it's going to look a little different. So
a little bit, but not too much.
I've got your back.
Where to, partner? Where to, partner?
Welcome to the band.
So, Benny has been handled, and you've recovered the platinum chip. Let's have it. I'll be happy to satisfy your every curiosity. Our terms were clear. Now that you have the chip in your possession, any attempt to renegotiate payment would be tantamount to blackmail. This is not the... Such a small thing, isn't it? And yet so capacious, so very dear. Decades of hiring salvagers out west to search for this little relic in the ruins of a place called Sunnyvale. Back then, anyway. That's where the chip was printed on October 22nd, 2077. It was to have been hand-delivered to me here at the Lucky 38 the next day. But the bombs fell first. Suffice it to say, the delivery was never made. A great deal shall be happening. A cascade of events with you taking a central role. At the moment, however, all you need to do is take the elevator all the way down to the bottom level. You'll understand soon enough.
Step closer to the demonstration area, if you would. I expect you're well familiar with my Securitrons by now. The titanium alloy housing that protects the electronic core deflects small arms that travel easily enough. Its X-25 Gatling laser, used to detect eyeglass house ink, is deadly against soft targets at medium range. For close range suppression or crowd control, the Securitron is armed with a 9mm submachine gun. All of this you probably already knew. What you did not know is that these are the Securitron's secondary weapons. All this time, my Securitrons have had to get by running the Mark I operating system, which lacked software drivers for their primary weapons. Today, with the delivery of the Platinum chip, all that changes. Behold, for the first time, Securitrons running the Mark II OS. The M235 missile launcher gives the Securitron the ability to engage ground and air targets at significantly longer ranges. And a rapid-fire G-28 grenade launcher ensures the Securitron is deadly in close-range engagements. The software upgrade also includes drivers for the Securitron's highly sophisticated on-board auto-repair systems. Altogether, the Mark II software upgrade confers a 235% increase in combat effectiveness per unit. The city of New Vegas finally has soldiers worthy of protecting it. Return to the penthouse now. We have much to discuss.
Trips to the basement are rarely so educational, don't you think? I've since broadcast the upgrade to every Securitron in range of my transmitters, and I must say, it's causing quite a stir down on the strip. I'm surprised you can still underestimate me after everything you've seen. I haven't shown my hand. I've shown one card. I've given my enemies a single provocative datum upon which to fixate. They have no idea what other cards I'm holding. It's a strong hand, believe me. I dealt it to myself. Why would I want to go to war against the NCR? They're my best customers. If their leaders weren't scheming to steal Vegas out from under me, I'd have no troubles with the NCR at all. To secure the future of New Vegas, I must have your assistance. The work ahead is dangerous, but you weather danger well. Do you have any idea how prodigious is the opportunity you're casting aside here? What did... That's because he ceased to be relevant when you recovered the Platinum chip. Revenge doesn't interest me. Progress does. Sorry to deny you a moment of primate triumph, but you'll have to go elsewhere to sound your barbaric yawp. What else did you want to discuss? General Oliver's strategy, or tunnel vision, as I like to call it, has been to mass troops at Hoover Dam. He wants to outfight the Legion in a straightforward slugging match, and then, when they rout, pursue and destroy them in detail. A crushing, decisive victory of this sort would overshadow the tactical ingenuity of Chief Hanlon's defense 4 years ago, you see. A good deal should be obvious to you by now. I won't spoil the rest by talking out of turn. I've resurrected Vegas, spirit intact. What I need now is the ability to enforce my rightful claim. Not just against Caesar's Legion, by the way. In fact, the NCR is a more present and insidious threat. To enforce, one must have force, a position of strength. Years ago, when I detected NCR scouts roaming the Mojave, I could tell from their uniforms that these were no mere tribesmen. I knew it was only a matter of time before an army appeared to take control of the dam, and I knew my Securitrons wouldn't be enough to oppose them. And so I recruited the 3 families. Vegas belongs to me because I mustered enough strength to bring the NCR to the bargaining table. Indeed, it was, and still is, but not without taking significant casualties. Would Kimball and Oliver have traded the lives of hundreds of soldiers for absolute control of Hoover Dam? Oh, yes. They weren't afraid of me. They were afraid of Caesar, that attacking me would leave them vulnerable to a Legion offensive. And so they negotiated, not out of the kindness of their hearts, as they try to make it seem, because the calculus of power left no other choice. NCR forces were permitted to occupy Hoover Dam and establish a military base at McCarran Airport. Well, it used to be one. They recognized my sovereignty over the Vegas Strip and agreed to supply electricity and water once their engineers repaired the dam. Written into the treaty were provisions that the NCR do nothing to prevent its soldiers and civilians from visiting the Strip. That's how I harness the NCR to my endeavor. Their occupation has been the engine of my growing economy. The salient issue is that they will go to war with me if given the chance. There's just one reason why the NCR hasn't contrived some outrage to justify invading the Strip. Caesar's Legion. The final battle between those 2 armies is fast approaching. I can't afford to let either side win on their terms. What else did you want? The next step will require you to infiltrate Caesar's camp at Fortification Hill. Absolutely not. Caesar is of great use to me. I don't want you harming a hair on that man's head, assuming you could find one. I want you to open a hatch in the basement of the derelict weather station atop Fortification Hill. You'll recognize it on sight. The hatch bears the logo of the Lucky 38, same as the Platinum chip. You can't, but the chip can. The hatch will recognize the Platinum chip and open sesame. Something very important. I wouldn't want to... I'm not offering you an incentive as crude as money, though there'll be plenty of that. What I'm offering you is a ground floor opportunity in the most important enterprise on Earth. What I'm offering is a future for you and for what remains of the human race. Here, take the Platinum chip again. You will need it. Upon arrival at the fort, it's likely that you'll be searched and the chip taken from you. Don't worry, it will come back to you.
That's very interesting.
Penthouse floor.
That's where we're going to end the episode, is when I install
Casino
the chip.
floor.
Okay.
Just because otherwise it would be infinitely too long.
Yes. We're at about a little over 2.5 hours. So.
Wait, here's some NCR soldiers on patrol.
Yeah. Who is that that's following you?
Oh, that's a follower mod that I have.
Okay.
He's based off of a character from the Fallout lore series.
Okay.
He's the main character of that, and they turned him into a character that can be a follower.
Okay.
He's called the Storyteller. In fact, if people want to learn more about Fallout's like story and lore, that's a great series to watch.
Which one?
It's just called Fallout Storyteller Lore, and it's on a channel called the Shoddy Cast.
Okay.
It's really good. And they're not long. They're like 15 minutes each.
Okay. I hate it when they put those scorched books in the game. You can't do anything with them.
Yeah, they're in Fallout 4 you can.
I know you can do a little bit with them there. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because they're cloth technically that you can like use it. But... Oh no. Now we're reaching a Legion camp.
All right.
And they crucify people.
Oh, yeah, like the original Roman Empire, yeah.
I mean, it was a fairly common practice during antiquity. But...
Yeah, it was a very, very common practice. Yeah, during, I believe, Spartacus's time frame, there were, I believe, 3,000 crucified down to the main gate of Rome at that time. Crassus, the butcher, they called him. He was depicted in TV series and movies, but he was the one that initiated that.
Yeah, Crassus. He was also the richest man in Rome and one of the triumvirs.
Yep.
I don't know what was going on there. It said I wasn't like enemies of the Legion, and then they just attacked me.
Weird.
So that might be a mod conflict. I'm going to try running back there again real quick.
Okay.
Otherwise, we'll just end it right up ahead here.
Okay.
was. I don't know what was wrong with that. Because, like, here it says I'm neutral with the Legion and accepted by the NCR, but that doesn't mean they should attack me instantly. So I'm kind of confused about that.
That is weird.
And I'm also considered a hero of the wastes because I generally do good things.
I think also what Isaac was trying to show us with this one, unless there's something else to come, but was the thing with the tasks for the decrepit Orion AI was basically confirming what I was saying about the somebody having to run tasks for them to help them either upgrade or get empowered.
Yeah.
But we'll see if anything else pops up. Knowing him, he'll pull a rabbit out of his butt or something like that. May not happen. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, oh, whoa, that's not something I ever expected to see over here.
Huh.
A death claw.
Why didn't you expect to see them?
I don't normally, and I've never seen them in this area of the game before ever.
Well, did they make it so they had the ability to travel the whole map though?
Maybe one of my mods did. I don't know.
Okay.
That's not something I was expecting to see, though, to be honest. And it actually kind of scared me. Now I'm like watching my back to make sure there's not a ton more.
That's why I sneak everywhere in these games because you know, you never know what you're going to run across. Like in 4, I sneak around all over everywhere.
That's probably smart. In 4, though, there's a lot more cover than in New Vegas. New Vegas is a lot more open of a game, just due to the desert-like nature of it. So there's a lot less cover. If you want to do sneaking in that, you have to play a sniper role.
Yeah, and in 4, there's a lot more tree cover and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, you can hide a lot easier in 4 than in New Vegas. Like your sneak skill has to be really high before you can like actually avoid detection here. Oh, it looks like maybe that was a group of like bugged legionaries over there.
Okay, because it's working now.
Well, I mean, they're still showing up as enemies for some reason, but yeah, they are. I don't know why though. Yeah, they are. For some reason, they're showing up as like already enemies to me.
Weird.
I'm gonna save the game here though.
Just in case, yeah.
Yeah.
I guess we're fighting our way in to do this part of the quest. I didn't want to, but that's what we're gonna have to do.
Okay.
I don't know why it didn't work, but
Weird. Maybe because all the mods you have installed.
retribution. No, I do need to go this way.
Yeah, it's too bad they had to glitch like that.
Yeah, I wanted to talk to Caesar and let you see a bit of both sides of it, but it's not going to let me do that today. This might be Isaac's way of saying, "Don't join these guys; they're evil."
Yeah, that may be, yeah, don't, okay, there may be the message in that. I knew he would have something subtle. I'm thinking that's the case, of that, any of them that emulate the Roman Empire. Yeah, there has been a resurgence lately, okay, of a lot of Roman references, historical references, copying of Roman historical references, such as, how can I put it? You know, before it was like a copying of like Black Plague type of histories with COVID and the merchants and all this other stuff. But it was like this one is more like Roman, like with the country standard, like the eagle or the Nazi standard. So, you know,
Yeah, it is.
yeah. Yeah, I think essentially what he was saying is don't join with them because they're a copy of what the space Nazis and them are, or the Martian Germans, or the you know, especially essentially the space Germans.
Yeah.
And essentially the faction he was talking about on Earth, that one was more inclusive than the other. So
I just wasn't expecting us to gun everybody down in here, so this is going to take a second.
well, Jesus. Oh my God.
I mean, this is like their main military base, so like it's not supposed to be easy to do this.
Jesus, you must have it on extreme frag mode.
No, that's a perk you can get in here called Bloody Mess, where you can like shoot people and they blow up into a bloody mess.
Another kill to my name.
Oh, here we go. This will get them to stop.
Jesus.
This guy's got a chainsaw.
Are you using incendiary rounds?
Yeah.
Come on.
Jesus.
Okay, they just don't die. This is not funny.
Fuck. Yeah, man. There's enough of them in here, Jesus. Well, you eventually made it there after the bloodbath.
I see you reached your destination. As you know, the Platinum chip upgrades my Securitron's operating software. Well, there's an army of them here. The Securitrons policing this strip are a fraction of the total number manufactured. The rest I stored here. I need you to manually upload the data from the chip to the facility's There's a complication. While I can broadcast to this screen, I can't control any of the facility's systems. That means I can't deactivate its security bots, most of which appear to be active according to the status board I'm looking at.
Hostile target.
Here we go.
Identified. Please clear the area until.
Yeah, listen to the 3 dogs. Ow!
Direct complaints to your local law enforcement.
Won't open.
Oh, that door is permanently jammed. A message came up at the top.
Work here is done. You have a very bright future ahead.
For the hell of it, should we assassinate Caesar?
Yeah, let's do that. A little dark.
Yeah, I can't control that, unfortunately.
That's okay.
Like that?
Caesar's dead.
You've gained karma. Hmm.
I don't know where exactly he died. Oh, there he is. See Caesar's armor? I'll take it. I'll strip him naked too. I blew his head off though, so you're not going to see his face.
Yeah, you gained good karma for killing Caesar. There we go.
So, really funny.
Well, that was interesting.
Yep. And that is where we end this episode of
All right.
around.
Yeah, thank you everybody for watching this this very long episode. I know it's 3 hours and 3 minutes. It looks like so far. Maybe after the edit it'll look differently, but this has been a very interesting episode of Disclosure in the Media, Fallout New Vegas. So thank you everybody for watching. Bye bye everybody.
Have a good one. Sorry it took so long.
Yeah.